Rebellions are built on hope.
And welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion, Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Alberto Calderon. Thank you for joining us. And with us is a very special guest. You know her from Space Waffle, Geeky Waffles, Collider, Twitter, everywhere. She's everywhere. It's our friend, Arezou Amin. Thanks for being with us today. Arezou, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm trying to remember. I can't place it the last time you were here. I know I was on one of your shows. Mando. Yeah, I think one of the Mando episodes. Every time we're talking High Republic, we try to get you at some point. What better day than today to talk about the Acolyte and, of course, Temptation of the Force. You have it back there. We're gonna jump into that later. That cover. I mean, I'm just gonna right there. So am I gonna do a spoiler review, non-spoiler? It's impossible to do a non-spoiler review of that book because we all want to know about the cover. So you're gonna jump into spoilers. So we'll get into that soon enough. But for everyone out there, if you're watching us live today, thanks for being here. Make sure you comment. You like this video, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new episodes. And you don't know which guest is gonna join us here. Comment down below if you're watching this later on the replay. If you're listening to the audio podcast, thank you. Also, leave us a rating review. You guys know what I say every week and what everyone says on their shows, but just help us out. Before we start, I don't know. I'm hot. I was outside with my family. We came back about an hour ago. It's like 95 degrees. My kids are in the pool while I'm sweating here. I should be used to it because it's Florida. I've been here for like 16 years, so I should be used to it by now. But that's all right.
Man.
All right, let's see.
Meanwhile, I got my long pants out today. It's actually windy.
There you go. I saw you tweeting out with Sarah. You want to get those blankets from the Acolyte.
It looks so soft.
You know who has one? That guy, Alan Chin, who's joined us. He got one. He has one of those Acolyte blankets. He had it when he was here with us last week. That was great. All right. And our friend Brennan, page centers that we're not. Thank you for being here. Saying a magnificent episode of the Acolyte. And yeah, Alan, you're always on Disneyland. Thank you for joining us from over there. And just to make ours to feel a little bit, the blanket is nice. We'll get at some. They're gonna sell it at some point.
They have to.
They're going to sell it. Yeah. All right. So let's go because we have a lot to talk about today to get through. So if you guys are ready, I'm not ready. Let's talk Star Wars and Star Wars on TV. Star Wars on TV. All right. So it's all about the Acolyte, episode 3, Destiny. Also, before we start to dive into it, we spoke a little bit before we started, but are you been enjoying the Acolyte so far? Just general thoughts as we're going into the 3rd episode.
I think it's my favorite Star Wars show. Full stop. I am loving the mystery element of it. It's not even like a murder mystery because we know who the murderer is, but like the mystery element of it and just all of these things about the Force and the Jedi and the state of the galaxy that it's bringing in. It's not, it's the High Republic. We love the High Republic. We talk about it a lot, but it's a part of the High Republic that we're not familiar with.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the outcome is. So it really feels like anything goes at this point. So I just love how up in the air everything is that could lead to this much like speculation.
Yeah. I love same thing that you mentioned because we kind of guess it was this murder mystery. We had to figure out who killed the Jedi and all that stuff. No, we already know that. That happened in the first 5 minutes. There's no mystery to it. Everything else is the mystery. And now going back 16 years, more mystery starts to set up. And then this, we mentioned it last week, unreliable narrator. Whose point of view are we watching? What really happened from the other side? So we'll get on to that. In the next couple of episodes, I'm sure we're going to keep finding out what's going on. But since last week, we kind of divided the episodes kind of per character. But today, we'll do a little bit different. Still go through a whole episode, not just bit by bit. We might jump back and forth a little bit, but that's fine. You guys can follow along. So let's start with Osha and May, because that's the heart of the show so far, especially this episode, is that relationship. was a bit surprised to kind of find Osha by herself, kind of out, breaking the rules, I guess. And
yes,
May is the one to confide, hey, we got the Ascension ceremony. She's so happy for it. And then Osha is kind of I really don't know if I should do this. I kind of want to do my own thing. So I was a bit surprised to see that relationship at first. So we went through that episode. How did you see that relationship between the twins? And if you have brothers or sisters or siblings, there's always conflict there. I'm the youngest one of three. I'm sure
I'm the older of
relate.
two. I'm the older of two. So I'm like, this idea of just from a purely sibling level, like nobody's got the Force, nothing, but just from that level of, but we do everything together, but I want to have my own identity is such a sibling thing, particularly if you've ever been in a circumstance where you're maybe like the only two kids in a really large family. So you really only have each other, or you live somewhere where like your friends don't live super close by. So you only have each other for a lot of the time. It does create that sort of oil and water tension. These two have that. Obviously you throw in this aspect of their mothers are witches and they have the Force and it's like really heightened, but from a purely sibling standpoint, so well done.
It was just little arguments in the background while your parents are talking about something very important and you're fighting because of that floating ball or whatever. We all been through that. Sometimes you're on the receiving end where you're the younger one, and then you're the older ones like you, then you're the one hitting people or something.
It was such a backseat of the car thing where you're just like poking your sibling.
Just let me go. He touched me. You touched me first. But it's great to see that, like you mentioned, just as a sibling point of view, but also what it means inside the story of this group of witches that was exiled for some reason, and we'll get into that later. They have special powers. The only kids there, they really don't know why. So it brings a lot of tension. So it's either you're going to do everything together, but at some point, one of them was going to want to go their own way. And I'll just jump into that part right now. It reminded me, like Osha, a little bit of Luke, right? Because Luke always looking to the stars, wanted to be out there, do more with his life. I know she's kind of that same way. She wanted to go see the galaxy. Once she found out what the Jedi were doing, I want to go with the Jedi. So, and kind of changed. I thought it was going to be the other way, that May was going to be the more outgoing and wanted to do her own thing, because she's kind of painted as the dark side one, if we want to call that. I was a little bit surprised by that, but also gave me a little bit of, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, Marda Rowe and Yana Rowe, the cousins, kind of a little bit different, because Yana kind of understood that Path of the Open Hand was just not really what they were preaching. We're not at that point. We're not saying that the witches on Brendok are evil or whatever. We still don't know what the whole deal is. But kind of that tension again, both siblings or family members at some point diverting.
Yeah. I was just going to say, if Osha is Luke, which, like this whole, I want to go see the galaxy, I want to get out there, May reminds me a lot of Anakin.
Sure.
Because May, loves so fiercely and so deeply, and to the point where she can't conceive of a life without her sister. The way Anakin can't conceive of a life without Padme. And I'm not critiquing that love. I think that's like a admirable trait. But when you have that darkness in you, because for whatever reason, if somebody's put it in there, or, like we can get into all that, but for whatever reason, when that's there, that kind of aggravates it into this almost possessiveness that pushes it too far. But up to that point, all she does is she wants to spend time with her family, with her coven, with her sister. And none of those are inherently bad things, but that's why she reminds me of Anakin so much.
Yeah. And even in going back then to the previous episodes, when May sees Osha again for the first time, kind of that facade of this evil person just breaks down, and she goes back to Oshi. Like, May's Osha's kind of just shooting, kind of missing. But that love is still there. 16 years later, that love is still there. Even at the end of this episode, when they're in the bridge, it's like, I'm going to help you. But something happened there. Did she really burn everything down? I don't think so. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
I was a bit surprised that we're using the Force already, especially because when we see Osha in that first episode, she tried to use the Force to get Pip, and she wasn't able, but I guess I should call it the threat, not the force at this point. But
yeah,
I love seeing both sides. I should maybe Osha go a little bit too far holding that space butterfly, but it was good to see that kind of relationship there and start to see the difference in them in terms of the ascension. Like, May is really, yes, we're going to do the ascension. This is what we need to do to kind of grow up and join the coven. And May is kind of, Osha's more like, I want to do my own thing. I don't know if I want, not sure if I want to be a witch and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Again, great mystery going on straight from the beginning.
Yeah, it was interesting to consider kind of what she wants and what she doesn't want. And then I guess we'll get into this when we talk about the witches, but what they consider an appropriate decision for her to make versus like, you don't know what you want. Like, she's like, I don't want to be a witch. You don't know what you're talking about, but like, you have to opt into this. You have to agree to that thing that Mother Anastasia is asking, like, do you vow to whatever? So you are making a decision, but that's the decision they feel is more appropriate. So I thought that was also interesting.
Yeah. I lost my. So Alan is saying that visually I parent trapped myself with Osha and May. I kind of was confused at times which one was which at times. That beginning threw me off a little bit because they look very similar, being twins. So every time they're Osha May, I was a bit confused at first, but I was able to understand what's going on.
I realized on my second watch that one of the two, because it's two different actresses, one of them has fuller cheeks than the other one. I don't remember which one, but I'm like, the one with fuller cheeks is this twin. Yeah. And that's what I kept looking for when I wanted to keep track of the plot.
Keeping with being honest, I figured it out today. I watched it 3 times, and today the third time, okay, so this one is Osha and this one is made just visually without having to follow who's saying what. I was able to tell them apart, which I should be able to do because 2 of my nephews are twins. They're like 20 at this point. I still can't turn them apart. One of them has a scar on his eyebrow. That's the only way. I should know. It's not that easy. So talking about the witches, let's talk about this coven of witches in Brendok. I used to call them the Path of the Open Hand when we saw the trailer because it's obvious.
The visuals of Mother Anastasia, yeah.
But they're very different. And speaking of being different, Mother Anastasia in the trailers was painted like the worst witch ever. And she's such a caring mom and an understanding mother. I'm like, this is not the character I was expecting, but I love, like we've been saying, everything is a surprise. So I love that she was the more, I don't want to say more caring, because no Mother Coral was caring, but she was very understanding, like you said, when Osha is talking about maybe I don't want to be a witch, maybe I want to join the Jedi. Okay, let's talk through it. What is your decision? It's not that simple, but we'll take your wishes into account when we make the final decision. So great to see that, like a parent having that connection, trust in their children, even if they're only 8 years old, but she's old enough to make her own decisions.
Exactly. And I think the trailer, like the way we see Anastasia in the trailer, is the Path of the Open Hand parallel is there because she has that statement about like the power and whatever, like who's allowed to use it. And I thought that was going to be addressed to the Jedi.
Sure.
Just because of the way she said it. But it was such a surprise that it wasn't like a declarative statement of power for her coven, but it was like a lesson for her daughter. It was just such an interesting context to put that in.
Yeah, that's something we gotta learn. Don't trust trailers. They cut them a specific way to get us to speculate all those weird things, and then no, it's completely the opposite. I was interested and still am interested in learning more, like who exiled the witches, why were they exiled? Yes, because their use of the Force, some kind of think is too dark or maybe leans to the dark. Who is it? The Jedi? Was it the Sith? Was it someone else? Why are they hiding?
I think it's the Jedi.
It don't make sense it's the Jedi. I kind of think a little bit just trying to make all these High Republic connections. So even the Sith were trying to hide the Drengir, right? It's like, hey, you're too dark. I'm going to hide you guys away. I don't think it's that far, but... And they're still hiding. Don't go out of the temple or the fortress. Just stay close. Why are they so afraid to be out there?
I almost wonder, and maybe this is me just tying everything back to the books, but I almost wonder if they were, in the aftermath of the path kind of falling apart, And all of these groups started falling apart after the Battle of Jeddah, if they're this one group that kind of sprung up and they were living on Jeddah, but because they were pushing the Force past the point that like the Jedi found permissible, that they got exiled from the Holy City. And that's why they live on Brendok now.
I mean, that's a good point, because at that point in the High Republic, there's like dozens of different Force religions or different views of the Force are having that congregation on Jeddah, including the Jedi, the Wills, and a bunch of other people. And that's where the Path of the Upper Hand comes in. To now, the Jedi being like, no, wait, no, you can't train children. This is dark arts. Well, we'll take them.
Like, we can train children. You can't train children.
You cannot, because you're too bad. You're too evil. We're good. Come on, and we'll get to that. But yes, like I know it's been 100 years more or less since the end of Phase 3 to now in the Acolyte, give or take. But the Jedi were more open, and they used to have all these different visions of you don't need to follow the Jedi Order if the Force is telling you to do something else. That's why we have Wayfinders. I mean, Wayseekers. Now there's no Wayseekers. What happened?
Yep.
I want to know what happened.
So much can change in a century. So much, like we see how much changed between Phase 2 and Phase 1, like just in terms of how they operate. So makes me wonder what's going to happen at the end of Phase 3 that made them like this.
That's what we all are waiting for.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're so close to it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the thing that broke Star Wars in half. Everyone's been waiting. Oh no, this episode changes canon. Nothing is real anymore. There's no father, which first I love how it starts to set it up, because during their initial talks, when Mother Coral brings them back, I think, and she's talking to Mother Niseiek, and hey, you need to be a bit more strict. They were again out on the fortress. Kind of, they're special. I think that she says something like, they're special. They shouldn't be out there. We don't want people to find out. And then starts building that mystery around them. And then there was no father. And I carried them. Yeah, but I created them. And kind of puts that into our mind of what the hell is going on, right? There's no father. It's Coven of Witches, obviously. They're the only kids around, which, like you mentioned before, creates all these other issues for the two of them. Just on a purely first time that you heard kind of there's no father and that Mother Niseiek created them, what was your reaction to it? Was it, I'm guessing, a big surprise?
It was a surprise, but it was like a really good surprise, like the kind that was really well set up, because they talked about their mothers, and then Mother Coral comes up, and I'm like, okay, they live in a matriarchal society. It's all women, like everybody is their mother, was my thought. And then Coral brings them back, and then Anastasia like caressing her face. I'm like, oh no, this is like mommy. Yeah. This is like their other mom.
And
like,
she's the only one that they call mom is Anastasia. Yeah.
It's like they call her mama, but they call her Mother Coral. They don't call anybody else mother anything. So like, okay, fine, 2 moms, great, love it, I'm here for it. And then there was the I created them, I carried them conversation. I was like, oh, okay, which I thought was, which of course immediately makes me think of Shmi and Anakin, because how could you not? But I was surprised, and then I started thinking through the implications. And no, the implications are not that it broke Star Wars in half, but just kind of a question of what the Force is capable of. Like, they made this active choice to create this life, and obviously we have like a light and dark balance situation. So does the Force actively make that choice? Is that why Anakin was created, as a light in response to a dark? Like, it enriches the story. It doesn't break the story.
It's funny, when I watched it that first time without going online, it didn't even cross my mind that, oh no, I've been lied to for 25 years. I thought Anakin, it's like, oh, something new. Oh, I created them. Oh, you don't want the Jedi to find out how. So, okay, there's another mystery right there. Because how did she create them?
Exactly. In a galaxy this big, with this many Force users who aren't Jedi, it's such a presumption to assume that Anakin's the only one who was ever conceived via the Force. Like,
I mean, we have walking, talking plants that are dark side users. And there's weird creatures that suck out the Force. But yeah, Anakin's the only one. And again, it goes into, and I don't want to get into that, but Was Anakin created by the Force itself to modernize, kind of using the Force to create Osha and May, which is different than just the Force itself? I don't want to get into that. That's too much for my mind to even comprehend at this point. But just
I feel
to
like
kind
we'll get an answer, but we don't have
most
that
likely.
now.
No, I mean, maybe by the end of the season, we know they're already working on season 2, hopefully a couple more. We need mystery. We don't need everything answered these first episodes. We're just kind of having fun with it and with all the theories out there. And I know it's not canon. It's people go straight to the Darth Plagueis novel. And I did the same thing, but not in the way of saying, oh, he was the one that created Anakin. He was the first one. Can Plagueis already be working, or the Sith working around in this time period? Which, if we go by that book, well, Plagueis is still probably like a 20-year-old person or even younger. But that's not canon. Plagueis can be walking around, being the Sith master right now.
Yeah.
Plus, we know in that second episode, Chimere, which a lot of people kind of assume is the dark figure, zipper face, teeth face, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
He's using poison and creating all these different things with different herbs. And that's something that Plagueis did. He was a master of, I think I wrote it down. Sith alchemy. He dabbled in Sith alchemy. He poisoned one of the other Sith that was trying to kill him. He wanted to mess with midi-chlorians. So that maybe they're picking from all these little things that are out there, which are legends or whatever, and then bringing it into the story. Maybe he taught Mother Isaiah, or a Sith taught Mother Isaiah how to kind of work on it. Maybe she's just a very cool witch.
Plagueis is one of my blind spots because I haven't read the book yet. So this is one of my blind spots, but I feel like I have to now.
I did the audiobook last year, and it's one of my favorite books. It just because it's all about the Force and weird Sith and Jedi stuff, and just give me more weird Force stuff. Yeah, like the good side with the High Republic, and we got all the evil side with that Dark Plagueis novel. So there's some things that kind of make me think if the Sith are involved in what's going on with this coven of witches and creating the twins, then maybe he has his hand in there. I would love that connection at some point, but we'll see.
Yeah, or I think everybody's brain would break if Plagueis was involved. In a good way.
Yeah. So when I was talking to Oti, we were like, maybe not yet. Maybe his master, like Tenebrous, is the Sith master right now in the shadows with Teeth Guy in the middle, and then when Teeth Guy is out of the picture, then Plagueis comes in. I'm kind of flipping it. I want to put Plagueis now as that person in the shadows.
Okay.
I know half the fandom, same thing. It's just like, no, it's not alive. It's like, that's not canon. I don't care.
He could be whatever at this point.
We're gonna
because that's what they're doing, right? They're pulling all this stuff from legends that just kind of suits the narrative now, and you just work it in however it works.
I love when people go nuts when that happens, but when they announced that they were kind of putting expanded universe as legends and then everything else was canon, they explicitly said, we're going to cherry pick stories that we like and bring it into canon. So we've known about this for 10 years. It's still a surprise for some. All right, let me say hi to a new friend here, the Sabersmith. Cheers all, first time catching you live. Hope everything's well. Thanks for joining us, Sabersmith. We are doing well. We're having fun. So let us, all you guys out there, let us know your theories. If you have any questions for us, we'll be happy to answer and probably be wrong, but we'll have fun doing it.
We like theorizing.
What's your, I really enjoy the life inside this coven. I love how expansive it was. It wasn't just like 5 witches hiding in a cave. They had their own culture, their own little businesses, and by your spice streets over here. You go. It was a built-up society. So I enjoy seeing that.
I loved it. I love these witches. I hope it's not the last time we see them. I don't think it is, because I think we're going to revisit the events of this episode.
Yeah.
I would love to know more about them. I love their whole society and how, like you said, like how expansive it is, how big it is, how sort of developed feels like the wrong word. But yeah, like they've developed this community away from wherever home is for them. So I absolutely adored it. And, the end of the episode broke my heart because of how that ended up for them. But I love the coven.
I love this show so far. I mentioned it last week. Is every place that we go feels different, feels lived in. There's people walking around the streets. There's vendors. If the other places, there's speeders going by. It's not sometimes you see shows and it's there's two people walking by, two extras, and they just reuse the same people. So, no, this is a lived-in place. It's a happy community. It doesn't feel like this is like I thought the Path of the Open Hand was just a front for I forgot the name. Anyway, they were all crazy. This seemed like a happy place. I want to be there with them.
Yeah, it's a really chill coven.
Yeah. So just the Sabers missing best hand-to-hand combat so far of the show. The Force Fury is awesome. I hope it continues. We're gonna get more fights in there, but I know, Alan, you love your Spice Cream. Spice Cream recipe. StarWars.com and its social media have gone crazy with the Acolyte. First with the Yord Horde. Now there's videos of him steaming his robes. The recipe for the Spice Creams is out. They're going all out. And we
I kind of want to try the recipe a little bit.
You want to try it? Yeah.
We all want to try it. I'm not much of a baker, but I do want to try it.
I mean, as long as the recipe is there and you have the ingredients, you can work something. You would think. I say that about my oven. You got to put it like 130 degrees lower because it just goes crazy. So,
oh my God.
Sometimes it's not just a recipe. You got to make sure your appliances are working properly. So talking about working properly and different, how something works sometimes, other times it doesn't work, or people have different thoughts on it. It's the thread and the force. So I love that. I wish there was a name, and not just call them this coven of witches, but that they see the force is still very similar to the way we usually see the force in terms that it connects everything. Just for them, it's through this thread. You pull on it, and your story isn't kind of set by the force. If you start pulling on the threads, then you can expand your destiny. But it connects everyone. To them, it's through their family unit. But it connects all of us, which is very similar to what we see in the force. But it's more that it's not a power that you use. This thread is not a power out. We'll use it, but it's not to the way that Jedi use it. So I love when we see different interpretations of the force. That's one of my favorite things of the High Republic. And I love that we keep getting that. Do you enjoy the way that we get this also in the Acolyte, plus the way that the thread kind of, I don't want to say work, but their view inside this coven?
I love their view of the Force because I feel like the Jedi have this view of the Force as being predestined in some cases and kind of being the thing that guides you, and the Force will lead you to XYZ. But their view of the thread is the thread connects you to everyone and to basically every possibility in your life. And it's how you choose to follow the thread that will determine the outcome of your life. So it's a lot more active in the way they view it than I think maybe the Jedi view the Force. Like I think the Jedi view the Force as their guide, whereas the Coven views them as the guides of their own thread and the architects of their own thread. And I thought that was such a interesting way to view it because it almost flips the way the Jedi look at it.
Yeah, for the Jedi, something happened. Will of the Force. It's the will of the Force. Don't think about it. If something happened, you made it happen. You had your choice on how you want to kind of follow your life and follow this thread, depending on how you pull it. And I also enjoy this: the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. Kind of at the same time, similar to what you were just saying, going a little bit against what the Jedi kind of view as. We got the Force. We don't have those familiar connections because even in the Ascension ceremonies, okay, once I die, more than say, you guys will kind of pick up, keep what we're building here. We're still together in this familiar relationship. For the Jedi, it's like, okay, you come with me. You won't see your family anymore. And it's usually just the master and the apprentice. It's not this power of many. So I like that kind of difference right there, which I still love the Jedi. I will defend the Jedi to my death. Hopefully not. But I love to see that sometimes I get, I don't want to say defensive, but when people throw the line, no, the Jedi evil, everything that happened is their fault. I'm like, no, the Jedi are great. They have their fallings and their failings, but I still enjoy them. But this, the way the coven works, it's not saying that, but it's just their own version of, well, this works for us.
I think the way the coven operates, in a general sense, kind of reminds me of the way the Jedi operate in the High Republic era, like phase 1 and 3, and phase 2 as well, obviously, like in the books, in that, you have your individual choices, your individual roles, whatever, but you also have a community of your peers that you practice with, because I notice a lot of the Padawans, a lot of the knights in the books have a friend group. They have people they are attached to, like their friends, their masters, their love interests, like whatever. They have this kind of collective connection that, they might preach as being a detriment when you get attached, and we can talk about that later, but like they are also like a safety net when something goes wrong, when you're struggling with the Force, with loss, with whatever. You have that support system, and that's really important. And I think the Coven still has that, and the Jedi are losing that.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about the High Republic that you just mentioned, it's because we're used to, from the movies, the Master and the Apprentice, like Obi-Wan and Anakin are out there, or Luke and Obi-Wan, and then Rey basically by herself. When the High Republic, you have, how many Jedi were on a mission in Temptation of the Force? There's like 5 together. You never see 5 Jedi working together. Even here in the Acolyte, you have a group of 4 Jedi going to this planet to figure out what's going on. So I love seeing multiple Jedi, not just because they're cool, but also because they have that kind of support group that you mentioned. Even going back to Into the Dark, which is my favorite book, it kind of expanded my mind of what the Force would be, is when Comac is talking about how, when they lost his master in that mission, how can the Jedi Order not expect us to get attached to our master? This person we've been with them since we were kids. We grew with them, basically our fathers. They died, and they just want us to bury them in a moon, say, oh, it's a will of the Force, and just go by with our days. Like, that's impossible. I'm like, yes, of course. And then we see that all through phase 1, especially with Orla and being a way seeker, with Comac at the end saying, this is not for me, the way this war is going, I'm just going to go do my own stuff. Kantan also trying to find himself. That's what I love about it. So, and this coven kind of brings something similar, that we might have the Force, but we're all in this together. We got to stay close, keep our culture, our traditions, and all that stuff. If you want to try something else, Osha, we'll hear you out. I will see where that goes, but I love that so far. And yes, Sabersmith, Master Soul is also my favorite, or one of my favorites. It's very Qui-Gon-like. I'll give you a point. I know that people go straight to Qui-Gon. Soul is Qui-Gon. I mean, there are other Jedis out there. Qui-Gon was different. Soul is very different. I think Soul's going to break our heart at some point when we really figure out what happened. I'm bracing myself for it.
I think Qui-Gon has a more outward-looking, Force-ward-looking view to everything. Than Soul is very in the. I know Qui-Gon has that line about keep your mind here in the now, but like Soul lives that. He's like really in the here and now.
Yeah.
But Qui-Gon's like, but we have to consider bigger questions in a way that Soul probably does, but he's like, at least so far, seemed to bring that in his like day-to-day practice the way Qui-Gon does.
Yeah. Go read The Living Force. Love how Qui-Gon in that book. He's like, just go out there, help one person. Don't worry about the whole of the galaxy. There's people suffering over there.
That's the Soul Qui-Gon parallel. But I'm like, Qui-Gon and Phantom Menace and Soul don't really.
Speaking about what meshes, and it's not part of this episode, but being such a big High Republic fan as you are, does Vernestra Rwoh feel like the Vernestra Rwoh you know from the books, or does it feel like a different character? It's a conversation me and Oti had last time. She feels different. Again, it's been 100 years or whatever. People change. We don't know what happened at the end of phase 3. But she, at the point we are now, not spoiling The Living Force just yet, she's not kind of in line with kind of following the Jedi Order as much as she seems to be in the Acolyte so far? Seems like two different characters.
She scares me in the way she is now. No, let me clarify. Like, the way she is scares me because Vernestra is, she's a bit of a, like, she's an overachiever for sure. She's a little bit of a renegade with that light whip of hers. But, she's also 17 years old where we're at now in the books. And all I can think every time she's there talking about, we have to be careful of our political enemies, not the Republic's enemies, our political enemies. We have to take, like, she's basically like, we have to do the due process and we can't just go chasing down a lead. And like, she's become so like woven into the system that all I can think every time she's on screen is, what happened to you?
Yeah.
Because she doesn't feel the same as she does in the books, but also because we have that 100-year time, I'm like, people change over 5 years, over 10 years. Like, what on earth happened to you in the last century that made you like this? So that's what scares me, both about the Acolyte and about the rest of the books.
Yeah. Oh man, that ending. I don't want to get to the end of phase 3. I'm afraid. I can't
believe we're so close.
So close, less than a year. But let's talk about now. It's the Jedi on Brendok, hiding in the shadows, hiding behind the trees in the forest, kind of creepily looking at the twins. But so they're there because supposedly this coven is training kids in dark arts, and they go straight to say, well, the Galactic Republic says blah blah blah, and they get cut off. Well, Republic law, we're not part of the Republic, so get that stuff out of here. But then they drop, well, we're Jedi, so you can't tell us we can't test them for.
We have the right to test your kids.
Yeah, we have the right to test them with your permission, of course. How did the Jedi feel to you? Were they a little bit creepy in this episode?
I don't mean to draw a parallel to very real life struggles because this is a show about space wizards. But there is something in their language of them going into this group of people and being like, the way you are raising your children is inappropriate. So we're going to take them away and raise them our way is a colonizer's mindset. It's happened all across North America. It's happened all around the world. So that, like, there are a lot of individual Jedi that I love so dearly and like you will defend to the death. But I think that we can see the cracks in the institution that this is not what they were supposed to be doing. This is not what I think anybody intended for them to do, but this is the institution as it's now set up, is for them to just kind of go in and take kids as needed with your permission, but not really. They would have taken them anyway.
Yeah. It was a bit shocking. Maybe because
it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. I think it just happened too fast. We didn't get enough time to kind of spend a whole episode there, 2 episodes, but I know you can't, the way TV shows work, but it felt really forced, that it was, oh, no, we didn't know you guys were here. Oh, you have children? Oh, we're going to test them and we're going to take them. And this happens in a 10-minute span. It's like, chill out. You don't know anything about the witches. You don't know if the kids are fine. You don't just come and take them because they're being trained in dark arts, supposedly. Just hold your horses a little bit. It was a little bit shocking and, I don't know. I love my Jedi, but like you said, the way, at least Indara was working, she was kind of the one pushing everything. It's like, maybe that's why they killed you first, but let's hold your horses a little bit. I
feel like these people were probably well-intentioned, like, as a collective, but it's almost like they can't hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't train children. We can train children, though. I'm like, you need to listen to the words you're saying.
It was, no, Jedi don't take children. Hey, Osha, if you want, you can be a Jedi. You want to be a Jedi? Here's my lightsaber. Come on, come with us. But we don't take them, and what you're doing is wrong. It's like, and again, we're not part of the Republic. Yeah, we're Jedi. You gotta do what we say. But why?
Exactly.
They're not doing anything wrong. But again,
I think we're going to get that as we get back into it.
And that's what I love about. And again, Leslie Headland mentioned this before the show came out. It's not going to be what you think. It's at least 2 different versions of almost everything that's happening. So let's just wait. I still don't know which point of view we were seeing this episode. Was it the Jedi? Was it Osha? I don't know. So I'm very excited going forward.
I actually think it's a combination, like it's Osha and May still intertwined.
Okay.
And that we're like flowing in between one point of view and the other without making that distinction. Because there are moments where things are like happy and wonderful in the coven, and that like feels like, you know, like May's point of view. And then there's things that are like the coven is forcing a decision that feels like Osha's point of view. The Jedi are wonderful and benevolent, that's like, and kind and explaining things, and that's Osha's point of view. They're actually terrifying, that's May's point of view. Like I feel like we're bobbing and weaving between two, because that separation when I almost said May, when Osha leaves with the Jedi hasn't happened yet. So however they're connected in the thread in the Force, that hasn't been torn apart yet. So we're seeing it as like one unreliable point of view.
Which then goes, which I was going to mention earlier, this kind of poem that they sing to each other. We kind of say in one of the first episodes, we see this last one, and I don't have it written anywhere, it's too long, but you know which one that.
As the stars above, so the sea below. Yeah.
Born as two, but still as one or something, which at first I took as just twins, and twins kind of make up weird twin things. But some people go to wink, wink, Force Dyad.
Yes!
I know. I read your review. Could there be a possibility? Again, going to Plagueis, he was trying to create a Force Dyad. Do you think... We already heard the words Barrage Vow. Could we hear the word Dyad or something similar to that? Or do you what brings you to think that maybe May and Osha are a Force Dyad or a Dyad of any other?
If we hear the word Dyad, you'll be able to hear me screaming from where you are. But the reason I think that is because I think it's Palpatine that has the line, like powerful light, powerful dark, a power like life itself.
Yeah.
They are life itself. They were created in the Force. One has potential, I guess, for powerful light, the other for powerful dark. I think they don't kind of feel at the extreme yet, but they sort of have that separate inclination. They are born as two. They're two people, but they are one in that they are two halves of a soul, two halves of a bond.
Mm-hmm.
So it all removed from the, they're just twins lens, like, especially once you realize what a role the Force played in their creation. Yeah. And we don't even know that extent yet. That's what makes it feel like a dyad. I'm like, this isn't just twins. This is something deeper than just twins.
Yeah. And then I think Alan, when he was here last week, he kind of reminded us the first 2 episodes, it's Osha having this, I don't want to call it flashback, these visions of May, like going back to the forest and Brendok was burning. Then when they're in the temple, when they go to find Torvin, following May up these steps, maybe there's a connection there. And then it connects to the sequel trilogy 150 years later, and of course it's great and it makes sense.
And it's also, they said like it's something that has been seen in generations. Yeah, like 150 years is generations.
Yeah, that is, and maybe that's why Coral says if the Jedi find out how they were created by a Force Dyad, and the Jedi go crazy because
and then they want to start making dyads all over the place.
And then they call Avar and Elzar, see what happened between them. We'll get to them in about 10 minutes. Do you think when they take him to do the testing, it's kind of weird, they just, give me your blood, you don't know what's going on. But do you think Saul was lying to Osha just to get her to admit that she knew what was going on, or just lying because they wanted to take one of them? I don't know where I fall.
Lying about the results of the test?
When he asks, what do you see? And she says, I see a ship. And it's the little Tuga cat. He's like, correct. And then, I see something else. Correct. Was he lying just to get her to admit that she was also lying, or?
I think so, because I think he wanted to figure out her reason for lying. Because like she's lying one way or another, but is it because she doesn't want to go, or is it because somebody told her to lie? And I think he could probably sense the hesitation before the lie, as opposed to just May probably went in there, lied extremely smoothly, and walked out, and they couldn't sense that same hesitation, because they can sense fear and hesitation and worry and anger and stuff like this. He probably just wanted to figure out why, like what's making her hesitate.
Yeah. I did love that line he had afterward when she's like, "Yeah, maybe I want to be a Jedi." It's like, well, you need to be brave enough to know what you want, and then brave enough to tell the truth. Which again, I think is gonna come back to bite the Jedi at some point by the end of this season, at least. Telling the truth, because I don't think they're telling the truth right now.
They don't do that very much.
And then no, and then when he goes to convince her, well, there's a lot of other kids like you out there. Where I'm gonna take you if you want. I know you're feeling lonely. But there's like 20,000 other kids with special powers. You wanna join us, or you wanna stay here by yourself? Oh, I wanna be a Jedi. I would say, yeah, take me with you.
As much as I love Soul, that was a dirty trick.
It was.
Because he can tell she's lonely. He can tell she wants friends. And he's like, oh, all the kids at the temple. Oop, did I say there were kids at the temple? Yeah. I'm like, you know she's lonely. You know she's looking for friends.
Yeah, just
like
dangling that little thing in front of her. That's why I say, it's going to break our hearts when we find out what really happened. Yeah, and we don't 100%. Know right now what happened. Let's talk about the fire. Because since the first episode is May saw that fire that killed everyone, killed her mom, killed the whole coven. That's what we've been told to believe so far. And at the beginning, this part in the episode, which I love. First, do you think did Osha? I keep getting them confused. Did Osha know about the Jedi before they even got there? Because she was doodling we know that she was doodling the Jedi symbol, but we don't see it till later in the episode. You think they know about? I think they know about the Jedi before.
I think they know about the Jedi as a concept. I think she just thinks that they're like, they have the same fascination as like a knight in shining armor would. Yeah. It's just like a concept for her. And something she's thinking, but because they get to travel, right? So
yeah, I mean, as soon as they got there, she's oh, look the way they hold their sabers and look at their clothes.
She knows about Jedi. I
mean, it'll be the same as some medieval knight show up. Oh, can I see your broadsword? Can I try on your helmet? Are there really dragons? Take me to a place with dragons. So we have the unreliable narrator this whole series, especially this episode. May goes nuts. Oh, I'm stopping you from leaving. Why? Then I'll kill you. It's like, chill out, girl. And then it goes to, I'm gonna burn everything. So when it comes to who really started the fire, when I watched it a second time, she locks Osha in the room, takes the book, burns it. Then the camera turns to Osha inside the room, and then we hear the glass crack of that lantern and the fire starts. We don't see her throwing it down. We don't know what happened outside the door. Who started the fire? Was it her?
I don't think it was her.
It wasn't her.
I think, they make a huge point of us not seeing her drop the lantern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that first time it's like, oh, yeah, obviously she did it. We saw her burn the book, and then let me watch it again. Oh no, it just broke at some point. All the witches start screaming. They're all dead. No one has burn marks, so they didn't die by the fire. Mm-hmm. Where were all the Jedi? Only Saul got there in time. No one else was there. Where was Mother Coral? Because we only see Anisea. We don't see Mother Coral.
Isn't Coral in the group?
I don't know. She might have been in that first one, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I want to say she wasn't there, but I know nothing. But they weren't burned. They weren't burned.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You want to tell me this whole coven of witches, if May went in there with some sort of magic, somebody couldn't just grab her?
Yeah, I mean, it's the fire understanding the room. Out in the open, they can just force push and just push some wind and just walk around it. Or just dead there.
Knock May over. That's it.
Little kid. Yeah. So that's why I'm so excited. Again, taking away all the unwanted criticism, all the stupid stuff out there. So I love just all this mystery that's still there. I want to next episode go back and see someone else's point of view. I hope that we do that. I don't know if we're gonna maybe go to whatever Kelnaka's planet is and then come back a couple of episodes later. I want to know, because I was so excited to go to the flashback, see what really happened. And I have more questions now. So do you want to go straight back to it and see someone else's point of view and hopefully get the answers?
I want to go back to present day for a bit with this new context.
Oh, that's
and
good.
see how that plays out. And then they'll give us a bit more in present day, and then we can jump back again and put that new information in a past context.
Yeah.
So I like if they're going to do a back and forth structure, I like the back and forth structure.
All right. I mean, I'll take it. I just wanna keep going.
I want more.
I want more. And then, because we know from the trailers that maybe they shouldn't have shown it in the trailers, when Kelnaka is fighting Torvin, and then we know Torvin has all these scars, and somehow he gets that weird toupee because he lost half his head, and they need to put that crap on his head. And when I watch it the second time, in the background, when Osha wakes up and Saul's kind of telling her what happened, he's in the background, out of focus, but you can see some scarring on his face. So we know that fight is coming, which maybe happened when Modern Isaiah first kind of took over his mind with the black eyes. Maybe there's an expanded section there that we haven't seen yet.
Could be.
Or
maybe just reawakens in him.
Yeah, maybe he's still nuts. And he's the one that started the fire because his mind is messed up. So let's go a little bit into speculation time now.
Okay.
Throw weird theories out there. Like you said, doing this, speculating responsibly, we're not taking anything seriously. We're going to be wrong. And if you guys out in the chat, give us all your theories for the next couple of episodes. So I've been reading. Let me rephrase that. I haven't been reading and going down a rabbit hole. I saw a while back in the first 2 episodes, someone talking about this mind trick theory. And it's how much the Jedi in that first 2 episodes go to use the mind trick so often. Like, Yord went straight to the Neimoidian to use the mind trick to find out where Osha was before the other Neimoidians said, oh, they're down there. Saul used the mind trick on the prisoner to get him to clear his mind. He used the mind trick again on May to try to find out who the dark sider was. Here in this one, we see when Osha says, oh, I want to go with the Jedi, Mother Coral said, oh, they used a mind trick or they forced her mind or something. Could it be that Saul or one of the Jedis did a mind trick or something to make Osha think that May started the fire, the destruction, and that she fell? Because we know by the end of the episode, she's alive. She's looking at the Bunta tree. Can it be all in her mind? And the Jedi just put this. I mean, we know, and I know that the more I repeat things, I start to believe them, even if they happen a different way. Maybe the Jedi got into her mind that, no, May started the fire. She killed everyone. She died. There's no one. You need to go with us. Am I going too far?
I think the Jedi believe that. I don't even need to get into Osha's mind to convince her. I think it's a Ben Solo burns the temple down situation where that kind of suits what they expected was going to happen anyway. So they're like, okay, well, she had that darkness in her and she was holding a candle, therefore she burned down the temple or the cave.
Yeah.
But I don't think they've influenced Osha in that direction because I think they think it's true.
Hey.
But
yeah,
that's just my thing. I could be wrong. Maybe they know better.
Yeah, I know better. Do you think that Sith are involved somehow trying to create this conflict between the witches and the Jedi? Maybe they're the ones that kind of started the fire. Maybe they put that into their mind. Maybe they told the Jedi somehow that the witches are there. And this, you think? And I don't know if Sith guys are around at this point. Maybe, I don't know. But someone there could, the Sith, as always, be manipulating people from behind the scenes, getting them to do their bidding so they can come in and either claim May for themselves or something.
I think so. I think there's that bit where they're having that argument in the common area and there's like a noise in the hallway. So they send the girls away and they go look and there's nothing in the hallway. But the Jedi don't come till later. Yeah. And like the Jedi have no problem just walking in and being like, hey, we're here for your kids. So I don't think it was the Jedi in the hallway. So I think it was like the Sith in the hallway. Okay. I think the Sith has kind of been lingering there. That's why the fire started. I think that's when the Sith got their hands on May. like right away, because the coven's dead and Osha's gone. She doesn't have anybody, and then here comes, I think it's Tooth Guy's master. I don't think it's Tooth Guy.
Yeah.
Like, so I think they are instrumental in everything that happened in the cave.
I love that the Jedi, like parents going to pick up their kids from a birthday party. Hey, we're here. We're going to take the kids. And
basically.
Give me all your kids. We're going to take them. I think, and then if I start putting all my theories together, if the Sith had something to do with May and Osha's birth, and no one of them might be more dark side leaning if we want, let us create this conflict. The Jedi can take care of the witches for us, because maybe they're too powerful for just two of us. And then we'll take little May, who's already have these dark side tendencies, plus seeing the Jedi kill all of their family. Maybe it'll be easier for her to join us and have another apprentice. Kicking us more Sith. Quick break to say, so Sabersmith and the Osha sort of reminds them of Omega from Bad Batch, wanting a different life besides what they know, wanting to see the galaxy beyond what they have seen. Osha could easily become a rebel, similar to what we mentioned before, that Osha wanted to see more of the galaxy. Very look-like. Yeah. So this goes out to Alan, who's the one that pointed this out, because we know Spice Cream. Everyone now wants Spice Cream. We got the recipe for Spice Cream. Episode 2, we see Kymir eating Spice Creams when he's walking into the apothecary shop, kind of again fueling that notion that he might be.
I think he's Tooth Guy.
Tooth Guy, which I didn't think at the first time, but it's so in there now. Maybe he is Tooth Guy.
I think he's Tooth Guy.
Because where did he get it? Did he go back? Is Spice Cream something that's available everywhere before Spice became out?
It's like Oreos. You can buy them anywhere.
It's just there. Oh man, gotta love it. Some Spice Cream. All right, so I think that's it for what we are. Next episode, again, we don't know if we'll go back to flashbacks, if we'll go back to Kofar and see what happens with Kelnaka. I'll ask you, do you think Kelnaka is dying? Whenever we go back to find him, that's where May is going. Is our beloved Wookiee Jedi gonna die already?
I think he's gonna die, because I think that's gonna up the tension for whether or not Soul's gonna die, because I think the Force. Because if Kelnaka's fine, then we're like, well, he was fine, so Soul's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But if Kelnaka dies, we're like, oh, they might actually kill Soul. So I don't know.
Oh man, I don't want to talk about it. It might be. I think he's going to die. I thought he was going to die. If this episode was the Kofar episode, I thought that he was going to die. Ulti made a point to say that same planet looks very similar to the planet in the trailers where we see Tooth Guy fight the other Jedi.
Yes.
So maybe everyone gets there before Kelnaka dies.
Could be.
Or maybe he dies and then everyone gets there and it's too late. And that's where Vanessa pulls out her light whip. And then,
yes, I'm so excited for the light whip.
I want to see if she actually uses it in a fight. Or she just clearing brush for everyone to go walk through the forest easier.
I need her to hit someone with it.
Yeah, like if she starts using it, then the show's over. She's going to take that head off from Tooth Guy. Vanessa, I mean, at 17, she was kicking butt. I'm gonna spoil Temptation of the Force right now. Sorry, cover your ears for 5 seconds. She stood face to face with Markion Rowe at the end of that book.
Like a queen, like an icon. Nothing scares her now.
Nothing. So, Tooth Guy, get the hell out of here. Anyway, back to the Acolyte. So yeah, been loving the show. Almost halfway there, not yet. I said, Kenobi is still my favorite show. Disney Plus show Star Wars, because I love Kenobi so much, and that confrontation with Anakin at the end just brought me to tears. I love Ahsoka because it's all the Force stuff that I love. Which my favorite thing is always the Force, and it connects to everything. And I'm loving the Acolyte because it gives me a little bit of the High Republic, a bunch of Jedi, and a bunch of weird Force stuff. So I'm really enjoying this show so far. Like you mentioned at the beginning, I don't want to kind of rank it right now. But like Oti said, something very bad has to happen for this show not to finish up in a high level, at least for myself. So
yeah, they'd have to really do some bad stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah, hopefully not. All right, so that does it for our talk on The Acolyte. We'll be back here next week. And we're not done today. We still got to go to the Temptation of the Force. Next week, I believe it's Lauren Romo from the Galactic Podcast will join us. Ote will still be out next week. But can't wait for episode 4, just in 2 days away or 3 days away. Who knew, so fast. All right, so now we're going to something else. And if you guys haven't read Temptation of the Force, come back after you've read it, because we have to go into it. So let's do it. Our spoiler review of Temptation of the Force. Arezou, I mentioned before we started that I was debating, and we're going to do a spoiler review, a non-spoiler review. It's almost impossible to do a non-spoiler review of Temptation of the Force, because as people can see behind you and the little graphic I just put, it's called Temptation of the Force. It has Avar Kriss and Elzar Man in the cover looking at them with longing glances. So the question in everyone's mind is, are they going to admit the love for each other? Is Star Wars really going to have 2 Jedi Masters give in to temptation? And the answer is yes. And
the answer is, do they ever?
What does he say? Anyway, it's something about it takes practice. It takes practice. How do you get good at this? It takes practice.
And then they practice.
Oh man. But first, Tessa Gratton, author for this, wrote a great novel. I will keep having fun with it, but just in terms of being the second to last adult novel for the High Republic, she had a high bar to get to, and she crossed it. This book is for, if you love the High Republic in any sense, you gotta get this book. It's with the action, it's with the emotions, the way it talks about attachments, and it can work and why, and the way Avar Kriss described it just makes sense. Plus you got Markion Rowe doing his weird stuff. Sorry, I'm gonna call him Markion. I know you do Markion. But just your overall thoughts of Temptation of the Force before we go into it.
It shocked me to my core. I don't I love all the books. Don't get me wrong, but this one hit in a way that I don't think I was expecting it to. I was not expecting it. Was not expecting them to, really go for it in terms of the attachment, the romance, the love, all of that. I was not expecting as many interpersonal character relationships as we got. I was not expecting all of the developments with the Nile. It just, like you said, it's the second to last adult novel. So because they sort of treat each age group novel like a series, it's the second to last book in the series.
Yeah.
So of course it has to hit this hard at this point. But I don't think I was expecting it to hit the way it did. And I didn't think anything was going to hit like Eye of Darkness did, and then this came along. But
I was
phenomenal.
I was surprised that they really lean into it, because I was, it's called Temptation of the Force. We got them the cover, but are they really going to go not just with relationship with a Jedi, which, we had that with Anakin, and then one that worked with Kanan and Hera. But these are 2 Jedi. Are they really going to go into it? And it's from the beginning. It's, we're leaning. Like, Avar is full on. Like, I made a mistake leaving Elzar behind. I got to make sure he comes back with me. I got to kind of profess my love or whatever. And this just goes on for the first half of the book almost, with both of them not being able to say those words. I was very surprised at the beginning, till about 2 days ago when it kind of hit me, that Avar was the one kind of pushing this. Because from Eye of Darkness, it was Elzar. I got to get this message out to Avar. I got to make sure she's all right. And it was kind of more from his side that he had that connection with her. They always had connection with that kind of romantic connection. But this book, it was more Avar after she realized what she lost Stella, and she can't really lose Elzar just because she was afraid and just walked out. She was the one kind of pushing it. But then when I started to finally think about it, it's like, well, Elzar is kind of, it's in the dumps, right? It's even says when was the last time I did something right? So in his mind, if he can't get into this, right? So it kind of makes sense it was from Avar's, not point of view, but she was the one more dedicated to trying to make this work. Was that kind of a surprise for you too, or?
What surprised me most of all was that that they hadn't explored this before. Because my impression thus far had been that they had kind of experimented a bit as Padawans and then realized, like, no, we're Jedi Knights, we got to be serious, and they both like mutually decided that, but like that they'd never like explored that side of their feelings before with each other. And I'm like, oh, this was like a completely new way of looking at it, because then it really put their feelings into perspective, because it wasn't a one that got away situation. It was a life is short, we just lost our best friend. Like, what is life if not exploring attachment and love and all of these things? And I think the conversations they have in this book, like with each other, the one that Elzar has with Yoda, like this idea of what love can do for a Jedi, what connection can do for a Jedi when explored healthily, when explored, earnestly. It's such an important conversation. Like we talked about, you mentioned Anakin and Padme, you mentioned Kanan and Hera, and we can talk about their relationships in terms of like speculation about what it means for a Jedi to be attached, but they like do the work.
Yeah.
In this book.
Which something I forgot to mention for our Acolyte talk that you mentioned in your review was this healthy connection, or these healthy thoughts of attachments against unhealthy thoughts between Osha and May, which is very evident the way they handle certain actions in that episode. And then here in Temptation of the Force, again, perfect pairing to be this book coming out the same week that this episode came out, more or less. It's the way that Avar talks about attachment. And Elzar first, like I mentioned, he's not ready for this. He's like, if I give in, it's going to break me. And I love also, before we get into the attachment part, and surprisingly, Yoda giving a great love advice of all people. We don't want to think where he got those thoughts, but Elzar starting to be more open with his failings to the dark and why he needs to balance both. And he says, I think I'm getting closer to understanding why the dark comes with the light. What keeps me driving towards the light keeps the shadows right there. I need my feelings, hope, compassion. Even if they keep me on the edge is where I do my best work. Like, yes, we need Jedi to be open, express those emotions. So I'm happy that we started getting that from Elzar as the book kept going to when we finally get both of him and Avar confessing their love, and Avar being the first one to say, I love you, and then repeating it over and over for him to be able to accept it. Like, I'm getting there. I might not be there right now. I might need a little bit more counseling, but I'm getting there. And that's what their first case in chapter 36, as we all have it ingrained in our head. And then 53 is when the other thing happened. But it's great. Again, it took its time. It's maybe a 400-page book, but there's like 3 different storylines or 4 going. But it took its time to explore this. It wasn't just this is how it happens. And then we're going to be like, that's not how attachments or whatever is supposed to work in Jedi. No, Tessa took her time to explore this. And like you mentioned, they really went into it.
It's like they really knew that if they had just jumped the gun and had them get together early and they spend the whole book together, then it would have been, well, this is going to end badly because attachment. But because they have this whole conversation about it, now I don't know. Now it could still end badly, but I don't remember what the last book is called, The Trials of the Jedi or something. Yeah. But I want to call it Tears of the Jedi. That's not right. The Trials of the Jedi, like, maybe they will be okay. Maybe they won't. Because it's Star Wars, but maybe they will.
I'll be honest. There was a point at this book where I thought Elzar was, I think this is it. Because we're used to, they love each other. One of them is going to die.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that.
I know. Sorry. Like every time, it always goes back to Ben Solo. I know this.
I brought him up like twice already.
I know.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to it. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole book is when they fight the Nameless. But going then to Avar, I love when she's, I'm just reading some from the book, is Avar thinking that she had learned that the Force, living and cosmic, connected them, that kiss was a way of them sharing that connection. And then her thoughts on attachment, because, like I said before, I love the Jedi. I'm gonna defend them as much as I can. I do believe they can have relationship, but it was gonna be a very kind of thin line of how you exploit that. To not just say, yeah, of course, Jedi have sex and relationships. It's gotta be, you gotta treat it right, I guess, just to make everyone, get everyone on board. And I love when Ava is talking about attachments, and she said, I love you so much, and it's not a hindrance. Attachment, possessiveness, those are hindrances because they limit a Jedi's potential. They make the galaxy smaller, but love is limitless, Elzar. Just like the Force itself is limitless, there's no end to it. And she also says, it's part of me forever. The way the Force and light are part of me forever. Nothing, not distance or grief or death could end it. Like, okay, this makes sense. And it's a way for Jedi to kind of, love is everywhere. It encompasses everything, just like the Force. So how can it be wrong if it's part of the Force? And then you're like, this makes 100% sense. Why did we forget about it?
I think it's one of those institutional things that's really going to shut it down. Like something's probably going to go wrong, and they're going to shut it down. But I think because they are free to love each other in an unrestricted way, it's not like Anakin trying to have love in secret, or Obi-Wan having to either choose love or the Order, but not both. Because they are free to just love each other and not lose their purpose, I think they're not tempted to fall to like attachment or anything like that, or like possessiveness, because there's it's limitless. There's no hindrance there. It's just love.
Yeah, because it's something in one of the earlier books, they kind of mentioned that Jedi, when they're in that Padawan age, they're allowed to kind of have relationships or figure things out. You're teenagers, figuring yourself out, but once you become a knight, you go on separate missions, that kind of falls away. But then now as two masters spending so much time together and those feelings are still there, I think Tessa did a great job in kind of explaining it for us to say, of course, it makes sense.
Of course.
And for Ava, who's so connected to all the Jedi, to then have this strong connection to Elzar. And then Elzar goes to Yoda, of all people.
He goes to Yoda to get permission to have a girlfriend.
Yeah. Yoda, what do you think? But I love also, again, from Yoda saying, talking about love, but if you find the answers for yourself and it opens the Force to you more widely, brings you closer to the light, then wrong you cannot be. It's kind of getting that blessing, like, yeah, you can date my daughter, basically.
Basically.
Yeah. So again, Yoda wasn't a couple of scenes in this book. I love getting that little thing from him.
Yeah.
All right. So if we talk about Elzar and Ava, we're not talking about Stellan Geos. Even though he wasn't there, he was there in almost every decision that they made. They had to think of, what will Stellan do? What will Stellan say? Poor Elzar is just doing Stellan's job, being the bureaucrat. He was asked to join the Jedi Council. And I also love, because he's, again, putting all the weight of the world on his shoulders, trying to do whatever Stellan would do. I love when one of the masters kind of tells him, you're not taking Stellan's seat. This is your seat. So don't bring all that baggage to it. So kind of, again, taking that pressure off from him. And then Ava goes and buys 3 pastry buns, because that's her usual order. Like,
out of habit.
Yeah, out of habit. And I'm going to water down the alcohol, because that's what Stellan would do. I'm like, why are you breaking our heart so much?
It's such a beautiful thing, I think, because as they're talking about how to feel this attachment, connection, love between each other, it's also the two of them kind of reconciling how to deal with the loss of Stellan in a healthy way. Like how to take on the parts of him that should stay with them and kind of let the grief of it pass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's a whole book on Jedi processing their emotions in a healthy way.
Very healthy. And even buying a new diadem for Ava with 3 gems. And then Elzar was the brains, I'm the brawn, and Stellan was the brains, I'm the brawn. You're the heart, Elzar. He's like, how can I be the heart? You bring us all together. So you gotta know this. You're the one that needs to know this. It's like, freaking Jedi making me emotional.
It's so beautifully done.
Yeah. So which makes me think after Phase 3 ends, we know there are gonna be more stories in the High Republic. There's no way they're gonna shut this down. We're gonna get that book, hopefully, right? Of the three of them, the younger group.
We better. We
better.
better.
Give me a whole trilogy. A trilogy, them as Padawans at night, and then when Stellan and Ava become masters. We need something with them. We all want to see them together. They're not gonna pass that opportunity. We're gonna get something.
I agree. That's the one sad thing I think about Phase 1 is that we didn't really get a ton of time of the three of them together. So I think that's coming.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing about novels, and you can go back and do it because
so you don't have to worry about them getting old.
Yeah, like how old are they now? Like mid-30s, 40s? I don't know. They got like 20 years of stories that we can go back that have nothing to do with the now. And freaking Markion Rowe, which we all love anyway, with his shirtless, tattooed path on his chest. I love this Markion Rowe who's more, I'm going to go do my own testing and my own experiments, and I'm going to go hunting for this blight. Yeah, Gira Saros, I don't need to know where you are. You don't need to know where I am. But where's your daughter? Because I think she's up to no good. And shut the hell up, because I don't care. So I love this Markion Rowe doing his own kind of investigation and being crazy, just throwing Tuca cats into the blight, pushing people to see what really happened. He's still nuts, and we love him for it.
He's nuts, and I adore him.
Oh, man.
Listen, I was kind of worried that he was going to turn into a very, like, one-note bad guy of, like, domination and whatever. But the minute he kind of became in charge, it's like he's like, wait a minute. That's not what I wanted. I did not want to run an entire sovereign state. Like, that's not what I wanted. And the fact that he's become unpredictable and reclusive, and he's experimenting, and he's like learning about the Nameless and the Blight, and he's seeing visions of Marda.
Oh man, yeah.
Which, wow, what a way to incorporate Marda into Phase 3. And he's like, and you don't even know why she's really haunting him. You don't know if she like approves or disapproves of his methods. Like, at least I wasn't super. I don't think we're supposed to be clear on that, but it's just such an interesting way to take your villain. It's to not be like, well, good, I've achieved this power, now I want this power, and like higher and higher and higher. It's like, no, he is backing it up and like pulling away.
Yeah, it wasn't an Eye of Darkness, I think. Like maybe Defy the Storm, when Gira's like, no, like you gotta take care of these people. You got this government and blah blah. He's like, no, I don't want this. You wanted this. I just want to go do my. Oh well, I go to course. Go. I'm gonna do my own stuff. I'm just doing tests on Jedi to see how far I can.
Talk about going from a healthy relationship to an unhealthy one.
Oh yeah, that was a 180 completely. Like,
No, I mean, like, Avar and Elzar are the healthy relationship. Gira and Martian are the unhealthy. They're not communicating. They're hiding from each other. It's
Nan in between as a messenger. So it's not working out. I'll be there eventually. I'll go to Coruscant eventually and tell them how I'm gonna be the savior. But yeah, he's trying to figure out how this blight work, which came out of nowhere at the beginning in Defy the Storm. Which what else can we throw the Jedi and the Republic? Got Denial, Markion Rowe, Nameless, and now this weird blight. But again, I just love how we start to learn more about it, how it affects the Nameless. He's holding the Rod of Power, so it doesn't affect him for some reason. So how is the blight connected to the Nameless planet? Because then when Buriaga is kind of putting all the force into it, trying to understand it, he feels he's homesick. The blight is homesick. Is it because they took the Nameless from their home planet 100 years ago? What the hell is going on?
And is that going to be it? Is the solution going to be not some big bombastic space battle, but just kind of healing the damage that was done? And that's how you make the galaxy better. I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out, because we have very briefly, because the Republic and the Jedi were able, with help from Avon Sunveil, I should say at this point, how to go back and forth. And with Silent Graph, let's hope Silent Graph and Kersan take another unhealthy relationship.
I love their relationship.
They're great, but they're kidnapping each other. Someone's taking care of
they gotta talk it out.
Yeah. one was spying on them. I had to marry him to keep him quiet, but then you're gonna come with me. Unhealthy, but it's a great relationship. So they're able to go back and forth. I forgot where I was. Oh, when Markion kind of, okay, that's fine, just change the codes because I have the original path tattooed on my chest when I was a child, because this is Mari Santeca's original one. Poor kid, right? Didn't Mari Santeca at some point give Vernestra a vision of an original path?
Of an original path.
Is it the same one? It has to be, right? And this hasn't been explored, I think,
no,
since it was back in out of the Shadows, I think it was.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it in Midnight Horizon. I'm like looking at my shelf. I'm not just like zoning out. We didn't really talk about it in Midnight Horizon, but I think it came up a little bit in Defy the Storm. I think she's seeing Marta too.
Yeah. Oh, she's.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but I think Vernestra can also see Marta.
Yeah.
I wonder if them both seeing Marta and then both having this original path and them both bumping into each other in this book is setting up some sort of Vernestra-Martian conflict.
I'll say
at the end,
when Vernestra squared up to Markion Row, I tweeted this out of context, that scene in Alien when Ripley is going, stay away from her, you bitch. That was me to Markion Row. I know Vernestra's alive. We just saw her in the Acolyte. Stay away from her. Don't touch her. She needs to be fine. But I love that, like you said, she didn't back down. She's like, you're here. I know the Nameless is there because I'm feeling the effects, but I'm going to hunt you down. I'm going to take you down. And he's like, little kid, get out of my way.
He's like, just move.
I'm doing stuff here.
He's so funny in that any other villain in this franchise would see like a threat, like a kid or a Jedi or whatever, and they would immediately lose focus and just be like, this is my problem. He's like, I don't have time for you. Please just move.
Yeah. He has a Nameless. He's hunting a Drengir. He has part of the blood. He's like, please get out of my way.
I'm running experiments. I don't have time to deal with you right now.
I got too much. You're going to throw my results off. I got to go do my thing. And she's like, no, I'm going to get to. Hello, Dale Skywalker. Dale, thanks for being here. Hopefully you don't get spoiled for Temptation of the Force. But just jumping to the end of the book, for kind of finishing up a little bit with Markion, it's when he finally goes to to Coruscant, to the heart of the Republic. Gira Saros there, Lina So, the Chancellor is there, and Markion Rowe shows up. And one thing to say to you, I'm your only hope. I'm like, what the hell is this?
That scene was chilling. This man coming out dressed in white, like, did I make that up? He's wearing white, right?
Probably. I'm still visualizing.
I'm tempted to check it. It's like, it's my fevered imagination, but I don't think it is. He's like showing up. He's got these flowers. He's got these lightsabers, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm your only hope." I'm like, that is chilling.
Yeah.
Because it's not an invasion. It's like I guess it's kind of an invasion, but it's like, well, if you want to survive, I've unleashed the blight. I've brought these flowers. Like, you have to listen to me now, and it's like so scary.
I love because he went to, last time he addressed the galaxy or the Republic was, this galaxy's mine, when he brought down Starlight Beacon to now, I'm your only hope. So I spread the seeds through the Drengir of this blight. I got some blight here in my hand. Oh, I'm going to drop it. Or you can come with me because I have the Rod of Power and everything, the Nameless. So, like you say, it's not a one-note villain. He's a great
not at
villain
all.
out there. I love how he keeps changing.
I'm trying to make sure I wasn't like making up his costume.
That's fine. If he wasn't, we'll...
Oh, it's black and white is what he's wearing.
Right.
Okay, I'm not totally insane. There was white in his clothing.
Yeah. All right. I mean, gotta start wrapping up the show, even though I still have like half of my notes. But real quick, one of my favorite scenes was towards the end because they had already like. I forgot to talk about him. Don't tell me because I have it somewhere. Oh, Porter Engel, Burriaga, and Bell had kind of faced the Nameless in Naboo during the fight with VS and all that stuff, which is a great scene. But then you jump on a bunch of chapters, is that ending when in that same planet with Markion Row and Vernestra on one end, and then you have Elzar, Buriaga, and Avar Kriss facing off against a Nameless, and how they're able to accept their fears, confront their fears, to be able to kind of hold off the Nameless a little bit. And then Buriaga, who's again connected through emotions and empathy to all the Jedi, and Avar also take in all of Elzar's emotions and fears to give him a chance to fight the Nameless. That whole scene, the way that Tessa wrote it, broke me. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so afraid for Elzar that this is it for him. He'll be able to strike the blow, but I think he's not going to make it. I was so afraid, especially because he's still kind of throwing his lightsabers kind of blind, hoping to hit something. He's pulling Avar down, and he has to be picked up. It's like, I think he's going to die. But I love that scene so much because it brought, like, finally there's a way for the Jedi to fight this creature, but it takes also so much out of them. So it's not something they can just replicate so easily.
It's, you know what it's making me think of? The timing. The power of one, power of two, power of many.
It's all there. It's all there. The power of many.
That's how they defeat the Nameless. It's the power of many.
Power of many.
If you're facing your fears alone, it's not doable. If you're facing your fears with your friends, with your loved ones, with your support system, suddenly it doesn't seem so bad. It's the exact same fear.
We've talked about here with how are they going to defeat them now? We're going to defeat Markion Row. It's not going to be one Jedi killing. It's going to be the power of friendship, like Oti likes to say. And the power of many here is the way they're going to defeat the Nameless. And then hopefully, no, we just got to take them back. Whatever's left of the Nameless, take them back to for the name of that weird planet.
What a concept. If the solution to a Star Wars series is like, the solution was friendship and kindness.
Who would have known?
Like, I mean, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And again, sometimes we joke that, do they even know? I don't know. It makes sense when you start to think about it, that Temptation of the Force and then this episode come out so quickly, so close to each other. And it's the High Republic, so whatever. No, look, there's connection, different types of attachments. Some works, healthy, unhealthy. Power of many. The power of many helped defeat the Nameless. Maybe that's what we need. There you go. We figured it out. I also love, again, more kind of action beats, the Drengir and the Nameless fighting, how they still affect each other. Mm-hmm. It's a cool scene, and the way that Drengir was fighting the Nameless and affecting it gave Vernestra a little bit of a reprieve to then see what was going on. So, and the Drengir also, come on, we're all friends. Drengir,
I like
Jedi.
that they're back. Drengir.
I love the Drengir.
So.
Yeah. We didn't get a lot of chance to talk about Buriaga and Bell. Porta Engo and General Veers have their beef going for 150 years. They're still at it. And then Veers like, oh no, I know where Barash is. Don't kill me. She's alive and I can tell you. I don't know how that's going to, but I love how much Buriaga we got in this book. Usually he's kind of in the background.
His POV too, yeah.
I love that first scene where they're with the Elia Ann in that One, I think was the planet, and he starts to connect with that planet, with the creatures, with the environment, the insects, like this symbiotic relationship that then goes to, well, that's why the Elian couldn't leave the planet, because the blight was coming in. We can't live. If we live, we die. How then that connects to the Nameless being taken away from their planet. Everyone's suffering, everyone's dying. Maybe they should go back. It's like, it's Star Wars, right? Everything rhymes, everything connects. They're telling us right there.
It's right on the page. It's all right in front of you. It's so good.
Yeah, but I love, again, Tessa Gratton. I love that she was brought into High Republic. She's done some great jobs before, but this is my favorite one of her, probably one of my favorite High Republic book. How she kind of hit all these different beats or different beats that were going on, and kind of expanded all of those notions. Just a little chapter at the beginning, just Buriaga kind of opening himself up to the Force to feel everything this planet, the way she wrote it. I can't can't even explain it because I'm reading it. Oh, this is so interesting and so great seeing Buryaga connect with all these creatures out there. It made me happy in a book that can be so.
No, go ahead.
No, just we always joke about, it's the High Republic, we're going to be crying and suffering. There's also these little chapters and little moments that kind of bring that smile and that hope, because it's Star Wars, it's about hope. It's still there, just little people, the alien, just connecting to everyone. So I like chapters like that.
It's the first book that I've really felt connected to Buryaga, because I like it because I like Wookiees because they're cute.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I really felt connected to him as a character.
Yeah. No, it was great, especially bring him back the way we found him in Tales of Light and Life, to give him something more to do. He's always kind of pulling Bell around, being the one to kind of keep Bell without going nuts. Bell, you're gonna chill out. I love that he took kind of first stage here for half of the book. Dale, no, we don't have any spoilers for the Acolyte episode 4. I kind of heard there's spoilers out there. Haven't seen it, haven't read any spoilers, so you can watch the beginning of our talk today. We just talked about episode 3. We did speculate. Who knows? Maybe we hit the nail.
Maybe we were exactly right, but not intentionally.
Right. Probably not, but maybe. So any final thoughts on Temptation of the Force, Arezou, before we head out?
I love the High Republic. I'm not ready to say bye.
Yeah, I'm not. I wanna get there because I wanna see how it ends, and that's why I think that we're gonna keep getting more stories. More
like you said, the phases will be over, but the story is far from it.
No. But great book. Great job at Tessa Granton. We love this. I want everyone to get through it so we can have more open discussions about everything. When people can talk about Avar and Elzar, and how do you get comfortable with it? With practice. And we'll leave it there. Go read chapter 53 and 36. And it's a great cover. Phil Noto did a great job.
Come on now. Look at this romance novel over here.
It's right there. All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks to everyone. Let me get things ready because I always mess up. That's what we do here. But thank you to everyone that was here today. Dale, doesn't matter they were here today. Thanks for being here. Thanks to Saber Smith for joining us for the first time. Alan, Brennan, and anyone else that was out there didn't get a chance to jump in the chat. Thank you everyone who watches this later. Also, thank you for being here. But especially Arezou. We love when you're here. Every time we talk about the High Republic, you used to be one of our go-to. We'll sure get you back. Thanks for being here. Where can people find you? Collider, Space Waffles, everything that you're doing out there.
Twitter, for better or worse, is still the easiest place. So at Arezou Amin there, at ArezouD2 on Instagram, because I'm trying to cross-post. I have Blue Sky, I have Threads. I'm trying to get better about using them. So, yeah. Yeah,
I forget also. All right, guys. Thanks to everyone again for being here. We'll be back next week with our guest Lauren Romo talking about episode 4 of The Acolyte. And who knows what happens between now and then. Thank you. See you guys next week. Stay safe. Be safe. Power of 1, power of 2, the power of many. See you next week.